so we haven't talked Saints today, and I know that there's a member of the group that wants us to talk Saints probably pretty badly here, so let's go ahead and do it now. Ranking the NFL receiver, tight end, and running back groups for 2025 according to ESPN.com, and it gives you the ranking for this upcoming season. It gives you what it was in 2024 and also what it was in 2023. So going from 32 down to we get to the New Orleans Saints. At 32, the Tennessee Titans. At 31, the Carolina Panthers. At 30, the Patriots. At 29, the Browns. I started to do this list. I'm like, okay. All right, we're getting somewhere. At 28, the Buffalo Bills. God bless Josh Allen. At 27, the New York Jets. At 26, the New York Giants.
Let's go.
I don't know about the Giants, by the way. Like, that seems crazy. The fact that they've got Malik Neighbors, they've got Tyrone Tracy Jr., they've got Theo Johnson, who actually is a good player. I just don't want him in the car. They got Wendell Robinson. They've got some, enough. They got Cam Scatterby, who they drafted this year, but they're at 26. At 25, the Chicago Bears. And Caleb Williams.
Interesting.
So DJ Moore, Rome Odunze.
That's a little
They did draft Luther Burden, but he's not been there yet because of his contract. DeAndre Swift playing running back. They drafted Colson Loveland, 10 overall.
I don't know if I agree with that one.
In 2024, the Bears came in at 6. In 2023, they were 17. And so they go all the way down to 25. I don't know either because you got Colson Loveland, tight end from Michigan. You drafted top 10. You've got DeAndre Swift. You drafted Kyle Monungai out of Rutgers. Really good player, tough runner. You drafted Luther Burden. Again, contract situation, but he'll be there. You have Rome Odunze. You have DJ Moore.
DJ Moore's a dude. Yeah, just the combination of Rome and DJ and Swift, that kind of puts you above 25, I believe, if you're asking my opinion.
And then we get to the New Orleans Saints at 24. So,
Let's go.
I mean, look, all jokes aside, that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. You're ahead of some teams that have some pretty decent weapons. So it talks about your receiver room. You have Chris Olave. You have Rashid Shaheed. You add Brandon Cooks. You have AK in the backfield. And then you have a Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You have a Cam Akers. You go draft a Devin Neal from Kansas. So your running back room looks a lot better this year than it did a year ago. My only concern with everything they're saying here, Chris Olave, concussion history. Rashid Shaheed, muscle tears, muscle pulls, muscle whatever, because, man, he's so explosive. That happens with a player like that. Brandon Cooks, he's a well-traveled vet. He's been in the game a long time. I mean, 2014, I think, was his rookie year?
Yeah.
Because I think the year I was in camp with the Saints was his rookie year.
He's, 31, 32 now?
I mean, yeah, and he's got a lot of miles on that bod. I mean, he's been through some injuries. He's played a long time. He's been involved in the game plan his entire career when he has been in there. But, to start out a season, to start out a game, I get it. You do have 3 good options at receiver. Now, tight end, you signed Juwan Johnson to a big deal. You have Boston Morrow coming back. Taysom Hill's going to miss the time because he got injured at the latter portion of last year. So the weapons aren't bad. The running back room looks much better to me in the totality of the group. But, man, you are one injury away from having, as we said last year, Uber drivers out there at ZNX.
Yeah, I'm listening to you name off that list. And, I mean, you listed off some pretty good teams. Like the Bills being at 29 or 30, something like that is shocking to me.
Well, you look at the receiver room, though, it's like, what did Keon Coleman really do last year?
Right.
I mean, their best guy was Khalil Shakir.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. I mean, that was their most consistent guy.
You've got Dalton Kincaid.
They got 2 good. They got Kincaid
I
and
believe
Knox.
they signed Joshua Palmer from the Chargers.
You
got 3.
I'm blanking on his name, though. The running
Dawson,
back, great player.
I thought you meant Dawson Knox.
James Cook. James Cook's great.
No, Kincaid and Knox are a really good tight end duel.
You got Ray Davis, too, at running back from Kentucky that played well last year as a rookie.
Well, one of the top teams in the NFL, you're just kind of shocked if you hear any of their position groups or groups to be that low, but good for the Saints fans. We are ahead. And, of course, these rankings mean absolutely squat for this year. But it's a reflection on the talent you have and what you've kind of done in the past. 24th. I guess the 2 words I would describe that as not bad. Not
Well,
bad.
and so here's what I mean. So Chris Olave's backup is Bub Means. All right. Bub Means was a 5th-round selection, good college player. Don't know what he's going to be as a pro. Didn't see a lot last year. Brandon Cook's backup is Kevin Austin Jr. Who is that? Good question. Rashid Shaheed's backup, all right, is Cedric Wilson Jr. Cedric Wilson was a good NFL player, steady NFL player. It's been some years since he's been at his peak in the NFL. Other names, you got, Dante Pettis, who was out of football before he came back, and he had flashes last year, but he was out of football for a while before the Saints signed him. You got Mason Tipton, who I had to hear about all training camp long because he's going to be a breakout star. No, he's just the guy in training camp that every team has every single year, takes over training camp, gets a roster spot, and you don't really hear from him again. I hope we do. I hope I can raise my hand and be like, I was wrong about Mason Tipton. I don't think I will be. Donovan Peoples-Jones. Been a long time since we've really heard anything of note from him. So that's my point is I like Olave, Cooks, and Shaheed. That's great. But it's Means and Austin Jr. and Wilson Jr. and Tipton and Pettis that you don't love with the injury history that the first 3 receivers that we've talked about, because all 3 of those guys have had major injuries in their career. Behind AK, it does look better. It's Kendre Miller, if he can get his head on straight and, be fully involved. Devin Neal, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Cam Akers. I even like Marcus Yarns. That's somebody that is an undrafted free agent, but he had a hell of a Senior Bowl coming from Delaware. I think he's a good player.
Let me ask you this. Just take just from an athlete, a former football player's mindset and standpoint. You talk about the injuries, which were such a big deal last year, and specifically with this receiving group. We have the talent with the top guys, and just like you said, but if we're one injury away from, really trying to grab for straws on that. But you go in a season where head coaching change, you're not doing good. There's not success. When you get hurt in a situation like that, what incentive, mentally, whether it's subconscious or consciously, how hard are you really pushing to get back from an injury and get yourself well to get on the field in a terrible situation? There's going to be a wholesale change on the whole staff.
Yeah.
You're not good. What are you going out there and risking more injury and more turmoil to your future contracts? I would say there was probably not a lot. So, and you see the veterans out there sometimes get hurt, and they're like, man, why would I fight to get back on the field when we're not going to make the playoffs or this or that?
Yeah,
I know
fair.
They're paying you a lot of money, and you're under contract to go do a job, but still, most football players play hurt the entire season. At some point, you're never the first day of training camp is the only day where you're not going to be in pain of some sort. Now, playing hurt and playing injured is a completely different thing, but nobody's ever completely healthy. But if there's no incentive, like last year, it was an awful situation. It was awful to be a Saints fan, to watch them, and I'm sure it wasn't much better inside that locker room. So when you are injured, how much emphasis did they either subconsciously or consciously put into actually getting back on the field? I'm not saying they didn't. I'm just saying, raising the question here. We have struggled with injuries. But if you're in a better situation, if you like the coach you're playing for, the offense, you think you can succeed, you're going to push yourself a little bit harder to get back on the field.
It's a good point. And, sometimes the organization's like, hey, we've won 5 games. We're in week 16. I'd love for you to be back. I know you want to be back, but let's don't come back.
Yeah, just chill.
Chris Olave, you've had concussions, and, do we want to risk another concussion in week 17 of a season that's already lost? Those are conversations we don't know, but we do know they've had injuries, and it has been a part of their history in their career. And when you're counting on them to stay healthy, that is worrisome. You like the initial weapons, but you don't like what happens if those weapons go down.